They told you hell was punishment. They were wrong. Hell is paperwork, cosmic paperwork written in vibration, sealed in emotion, and signed with every decision you've ever made. The universe doesn't punish, it audits. And whether you believe in angels or not, whether you light candles or ignore the sacred entirely, you've already signed dozens of spiritual contracts without realizing it. Every wish, every prayer, every desperate "I'd do anything" was a clause. That's the forbidden occult knowledge they never wanted you to read. Because what if every miracle you begged for came with hidden fees? What if demons and contracts are not myths, but the language the cosmos uses to keep energy balanced? The truth is darker and simpler. Infernal pacts are not evil, they're agreements. You don't need blood to sign them, you just need desire. The moment you ask for something beyond your current vibration, something in the infernal bureaucracy takes note. And when you default on that energetic loan, your reality, the dreams, the synchronicities, even your fears, becomes the collector. This is the hidden side of manifestation no one dares to explain. It's not about attraction, it's about obligation. Demons enforce pacts the same way gravity enforces falling, automatically, relentlessly, and without emotion. But here's the twist. Once you learn the forbidden legalese of these cosmic laws, you stop being a debtor and start becoming a negotiator. You realize that law and freedom were never opposites, they were partners in disguise. So stay until the end, because what you'll hear in this video might not just change how you see the underworld, it might rewrite how you see your own choices. And if you crave knowledge that breaks illusions, that pulls the curtain on forbidden esoteric lore and hidden truths about demons, then subscribe now, join this channel, and together we'll learn to read the fine print of the soul. There is a law older than light, written not on stone tablets nor sacred scrolls, but deep within the vibration that shapes existence. Every pulse of matter, every whisper of thought, follows the forbidden occult knowledge of this cosmic contract. It's what mystics once called the Luciferian law, a system so vast that even archons and cosmic law bend before it. The universe doesn't move by chance, it moves by decree. These decrees are not enforced by gods alone, but by an infernal bureaucracy, a metaphysical network that keeps creation balanced through cause and consequence. And within that hidden structure, demonic forces play the role of auditors. Reality, after all, is a courtroom. Every action is a clause, every thought a signature, every emotion a blood-packed ritual sealed in vibration. The ancients knew this well. They whispered of spiritual contracts binding souls to lessons yet unpaid. This wasn't superstition, it was esoteric philosophy, the logic behind karma and the hidden laws of the universe. When one violates these laws, there isn't a thunderbolt from heaven, only a shift in resonance, an invisible summons to the underworld's symbolism of debt and redemption. Some call it fate, others the echo of an infernal covenant unfulfilled. Think of it like this. If reality were a company, then your soul is both the employee and the shareholder. Every thought you invest produces dividends of light or darkness. This isn't metaphorical, it's energetic economy. Demons, angels, and humans all operate under this esoteric law of demons and divinities. Even Lucifer himself, according to ancient demonology explained, cannot bypass the cosmic law of balance. The so-called fallen didn't defy law, they revealed its darker clauses. That's the real forbidden esoteric law. That rebellion itself is just another form of obedience to the system. What many call sin might just be a breach of cosmic contracts. What religion labeled evil may, in truth, be the metaphysical pact keeping duality intact. The demonic energy exchange isn't corruption, it's transaction. Every prayer is a request, every miracle, an invoice. Once you understand that, morality transforms into occult storytelling, and redemption becomes a renegotiation with the unseen spiritual debt and karma. The infernal hierarchy isn't chaos, it's administration. The demons aren't villains, they're the lawyers of eternity. It's amusing how humanity built governments, courts, and constitutions that unconsciously mimic this same infernal bureaucracy. Contracts, seals, and signatures are echoes of an older order, one that existed before alphabets, before the wheel, before flame. ancient forbidden mysticism hinted that law itself descended from the underworld's legal system. Even the phrase binding agreement stems from black magic rituals of the priest kings, who learned that language is power, and power is legality in motion. The pen and the wand are siblings, both instruments of sigil magic that command reality. Imagine creation as an immense courtroom suspended between light and abyss. At its center stands the secret of infernal hierarchy, order disguised as chaos, harmony disguised as rebellion. Every being, from the smallest atom to the most radiant archangel, plays its role in this ongoing litigation of existence. The pact with Lucifer, contrary to fear-driven myths, was less about worship and more about jurisdiction. Even the devils follow law. It's mortals who often forget they signed up for it, and when they break it unknowingly, the consequences ripple through lifetimes. That's why understanding the hidden truth about demons isn't about summoning them. It's about decoding the fine print of reality. To learn how demons enforce pacts is to understand how the cosmos enforces consequence. And once someone grasps that, they stop fearing shadows and start reading them like contracts. For beneath every blessing lies a clause, and beneath every curse, a loophole. Those who read between the vibrations, who trace the forbidden arcane knowledge through resonance, realize something profound, that law itself is alive, and we've all been signing its terms since birth. Whether we knew it or not, there was a time when humanity still spoke the language of the stars, and every whisper carried the weight of forbidden occult knowledge. Back then, humans didn't pray. They bargained. The earliest infernal pacts weren't made out of malice but curiosity. When fire first danced in human hands, the shadows demanded their share. From that moment, spiritual contracts were born, unwritten agreements between flesh and flame, between will and the hidden laws of the universe. Even before temples and scriptures, there were circles drawn in dirt, names etched in smoke, and offerings whispered to the night. Humanity didn't sell its soul. It traded curiosity for consequence. King Solomon's story is the most famous of these ancient demonic contracts. The wise king didn't enslave spirits. He negotiated with them. He understood the esoteric law of demons. That power could be borrowed, but never owned. His sigil magic wasn't sorcery, it was diplomacy. He signed his will into cosmic contracts and sealed them with divine geometry. Each symbol he carved was an encrypted signature in the astral legal system. And when he built his temple, it wasn't just a house of God. It was a courtroom for celestial and infernal bureaucracy to coexist. Solomon didn't just rule men, he ruled the balance. But the myth goes deeper. Long before Solomon, there were Sumerian priests who practiced the earliest blood pact rituals. They believed the gods of the underworld could lend them knowledge if they paid in life force. This was the ancient formula. Forbidden knowledge documentary meets survival. They weren't worshipping evil, they were studying ancient demonology. Each ritual was an act of communication, a dialogue between the seen and the unseen. The blood served as ink, the soul as signature. These were the first lawyers of spirit, crafting demonic contracts that bound ideas to form and intention to destiny. By the Middle Ages, that sacred negotiation had turned darker. Fear replaced reverence, and curiosity turned into accusation. The pact with the devil explained in church sermons became propaganda, twisting the esoteric philosophy of exchange into superstition. Those who once studied the forbidden mysticism of balance were branded heretics. Yet even as flames devoured their bodies, their occult storytelling survived in secret lodges and midnight manuscripts. Behind every tale of witchcraft lies a metaphor for transaction. Give something, gain something. The church condemned what it didn't understand, the hidden law of hell that governs both angels and demons alike. And still, humanity never stopped bargaining. Modern people do it daily, though they no longer draw pentagrams. A contract signed in a boardroom can mirror a metaphysical pact. Every loan, every promise, every emotional agreement carries the same energetic blueprint as the ancient rituals and demons of old. The energy exchanged in a toxic relationship is no different from the demonic energy exchange of a soul pact. It's just dressed in new symbols. Humanity may have traded altars for offices, but the law of balance in hell never changed. The paperwork simply got digital. Those who truly study forbidden esoteric law understand that these infernal covenants aren't evil. They're evolutionary. Each pact with Lucifer represents a test, a mirror, an initiation. The soul agrees to experience polarity so it can awaken sovereignty. To sell your soul isn't to lose it, it's to invest it. Like Gnostic secrets hidden beneath myth, the act of bargaining with shadow teaches discernment. You learn that every choice is a spiritual debt and karma settlement, every desire a clause waiting to be fulfilled. This is how humanity learned, through trial, temptation, and the courage to question heaven's monopoly. And so, the forbidden arcane knowledge of old survives not in grimoires but in human instinct. We negotiate love, time, and energy as if our souls remember the old contracts. Perhaps they do. For when one gazes too long into the darkness does not merely gaze back, it bargains. And those who dare to answer find themselves reawakening an ancient lineage of pact magic. That's where the next revelation begins. Understanding that words are no longer enough, because the syntax of the infernal tongue, the true grammar of the underworld, was never written in language, but in vibration. Most people think language is born from sound, but the oldest language was vibration. Before man learned to speak, he resonated. The entities who authored the forbidden occult knowledge never used words. They used frequencies. Every infernal pact is written not on parchment, but on the field of the soul itself. When one utters a vow, the voice becomes a geometric pattern, a sigil that seals reality. This is the syntax of the infernal tongue, grammar built from resonance, not alphabet. It's the same current that shapes spells, prayers, and even emotions. Words are simply echoes of the esoteric lore of demons, veiled beneath syntax and breath. A true demonic contract is therefore not a document, it's a frequency alignment. When a magician seals a pact through sigil magic, the symbols aren't decoration, they're coordinates in the astral legal system. Each line, curve or circle, acts like a vibrational clause, binding the will to manifestation. The ancients called it writing with fire, for the spiritual contracts were burned into the subtle fabric of existence. To speak this tongue is to code energy directly. That's why those who master it can bend perception, influence emotion, and call forth demonic forces explained not by belief, but by harmonic precision. In ancient temples, initiates trained their voices like instruments, learning the intervals that could open gateways or summon entities. Their chants weren't songs, they were passwords. These sounds, constructed with exact geometry, unlocked dimensions governed by the cosmic law of balance. Every tone carried intent, and intent was everything. Modern science calls it frequency therapy or resonance physics, but the forbidden mysticism behind it is the same. Vibration shapes matter. When the right resonance meets the right will, black magic rituals transform into acts of divine engineering. That's how the hidden law of hell communicates, with rhythm, not rhetoric. There's a reason why every religion fears blasphemy and reveres sacred words. To speak carelessly is to write new clauses in your unseen cosmic contracts. A promise broken, a curse spoken, a desperate prayer, all these create vibrational signatures that ripple through the infernal bureaucracy of existence. The universe records them with terrifying accuracy. Each syllable becomes an oath, and each emotion a signature. That's the hidden danger of words. They are binding, and even when we don't mean them to be. When one whispers, "I'd give anything for this," something in the underworld listens, taking notes in the ledger of the underworld's symbolism. The real magicians were always aware of this. They spoke little, listened much, and acted only when alignment was exact. They knew that speaking out of resonance was like signing a demonic contract by accident. The forbidden esoteric law teaches that energy follows articulation. What you voice becomes your clause in the hidden laws of the universe. That's why silence is sacred. It voids unintended contracts. But humans, impatient as ever, filled the silence with noise, gossip, and fear. They created endless clauses with their tongues, unaware they were programming their own fates through verbal chaos. Words became chains disguised as communication. Today, language has evolved, but its power remains. The digital age created new pact magic, terms of service, agreements clicked without reading, algorithms that track our resonance through behavior. Even that is part of the forbidden arcane knowledge. Modern oaths written in binary, still sealed by consent. When people agree online, they mirror the ancient gesture of blood pact rituals. The ink changed, But the demonic energy exchange did not. Every emoji, every affirmation, every chant of self-belief operates on the same metaphysical syntax. Creation listens not to vocabulary, but to vibration. And so, those who dare to understand the syntax of the infernal tongue realize a humbling truth. The devil doesn't tempt with lies, but with language. Every infernal covenant begins as a phrase whispered into the fabric of the soul. The wise learn to listen before they speak, to read energy before signing anything unseen, because the next revelation is even more disturbing, the principle of consent. For if language creates law, then the true binding of any pact with Lucifer doesn't come from power but from permission. If there's one rule that even the darkest infernal bureaucracy obeys, it's this: nothing binds without consent. The forbidden occult knowledge hidden beneath all creation declares that free will is the highest clause in every cosmic contract. Demons, angels, and even gods cannot override it. But here lies the paradox. Consent doesn't need to be conscious. The esoteric law of demons works through symbols, emotions, and choices disguised as coincidence. To say yes energetically is to sign a demonic contract without ever touching parchment. That's the demon's loophole. Free will manipulated through suggestion, ritual, and resonance. Imagine a salesman who never asks you to buy. He just gets you to nod. That's how infernal pacts are sealed. A whisper of desire, a moment of desperation, a careless promise, all become permission slips in the astral legal system. The entities don't need your words, they need your alignment. They use what's already inside you: greed, fear, lust, ambition. Every time you crave power, no matter the cost, the underworld hears it as an invitation. It's how Pact with Lucifer Explained truly unfolds, not as a dramatic ritual under a blood moon, but as a subtle, energetic handshake with your own shadow. The spiritual contracts of this universe are upheld by resonance, not by coercion. The demonic realm cannot take what isn't offered. It can only convince you to offer it yourself. That's why temptation exists. It's negotiation disguised as opportunity. This is what the forbidden mysticism of ancient priesthoods warned about. Not devils stealing souls, but humans trading them away unconsciously. Each decision born of fear or arrogance becomes a micropact, a clause in the unseen cosmic law of balance, and every clause has a cost, payable in energy, time, or fate. The currency of hell isn't fire, it's consent. It's fascinating how this mirrors modern society. Every digital "I agree" clicked without reading mimics the same principle of the infernal covenant. Consent, once given, even blindly, is still binding. The hidden law of hell doesn't care about ignorance. It only cares about acknowledgement. This is how the demonic realm evolved with humanity, adapting its pact magic into modern systems, media, contracts, ideologies. Each feeds on consent, disguised as participation. To refuse is rare because refusal requires awareness. Awareness breaks enchantment, and awareness is what forbidden arcane knowledge ultimately offers. The true sorcerer knows how to withdraw consent, not by ritual alone, but by reclaiming sovereignty of thought and will. Every no spoken with conviction nullifies hundreds of invisible clauses created by fear. This is why black magic rituals include the act of revocation. It's a metaphysical declaration of autonomy. The same applies spiritually. When you stop feeding an obsession, you void the demonic energy exchange sustaining it. In that silence, the entities lose jurisdiction. They can't collect from what's no longer invested. That's the secret the Gnostic underworld never wanted the masses to remember. And yet, consent can be re-engineered for liberation. One can consciously enter a metaphysical pact not to serve darkness, but to learn from it. The difference lies in awareness. When intention is sovereign, even infernal pacts become contracts of enlightenment. The demon becomes a teacher, not a tyrant. This is the alchemy behind esoteric philosophy, transforming manipulation into mastery, possession into partnership. The power is not in refusing the underworld, but in renegotiating its terms. For in the eyes of the archons and cosmic law, consent is sacred whether given in fear or in wisdom. The next revelation takes this further. If the universe runs on consent, then what seals the agreement? What ensures the promise stays bound across lifetimes and bloodlines? The answer lies not in words, but in the elements themselves. blood, breath, and signature, for they are the trinity of authentication in every infernal hierarchy, the ancient proof that a forbidden occult law has been accepted and sealed. Every infernal pact begins and ends with 3 sacred seals: blood, breath, and signature. These are not just physical gestures, they're alchemical processes that bridge spirit and matter. In the forbidden occult knowledge of old, blood was considered liquid memory, breath the spark of life, and signature the stamp of identity across realms. Together they form the trinity of binding in the astral legal system. When the ancients performed a blood pact ritual, they weren't merely cutting skin, they were encrypting intent. Blood was the ink, breath the animation, and signature the final encryption in the demonic contract. Blood, they believed, was the universe's data stream. Every drop carries ancestral codes, contracts, debts, and karmic clauses embedded in lineage. That's why spiritual contracts often transcend lifetimes. The signature of one ancestor becomes the inheritance of another. It's what some call generational curses, but in truth it's infernal bureaucracy at work. Cosmic bookkeeping, keeping tabs on spiritual debt and karma. The esoteric law of demons ensures every debt is paid, even if the debtor has long reincarnated. A promise made in blood isn't forgotten. It's archived in the ether, awaiting the next signature in the bloodline. Breath, on the other hand, is the most underestimated element of binding. Every exhale carries resonance, the vibration that activates intention. To speak is to breathe life into will, and to swear is to seal it. That's why incantations, vows, and prayers matter. They're coded emissions in the forbidden esoteric law of creation. The moment someone utters "I swear" or "I promise," they're performing subtle pact magic. The demonic energy exchange occurs not in the blade but in the breath. Every word becomes a form of possession through consent, sanctioned by the hidden law of hell that governs resonance and truth. Then comes the signature, the human obsession with names, marks, and symbols. To sign is to claim authorship of a vibration. Whether carved in parchment or projected in intention, a signature is a metaphysical GPS coordinate that tells the infernal hierarchy who is bound to what. Every mark is a declaration of ownership and accountability under the cosmic law of balance. That's why ancient magicians never signed their grimoires openly. They used sigil magic to mask identity, creating seals that mirrored but didn't expose their essence. It was legal camouflage in the underworld symbolism of contracts. Interestingly, modern life still mirrors this same alchemy. Every contract signed, every fingerprint scanned, every digital login echoes ancient blood pact rituals. When you breathe agreement into a clause, you repeat the old ways. Only now it's done through pixels instead of firelight. Humanity has simply rebranded demonic contracts into legal documents. The energy remains identical. Corporations, like demons, feed on consent. Bureaucracy, like the infernal covenant, demands your signature before granting power. And just like the old pacts, everything given must eventually be returned, with interest. In deeper forbidden mysticism, these 3 elements, blood, breath, signature, represent creation itself. Blood for form, breath for motion, signature for consciousness. The same process binds the soul to the body and the mind to fate. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you agreed to exist. The forbidden arcane knowledge of this truth is both liberating and terrifying. That existence is a pact, and every inhale is a renewal of that contract. That's why magicians guard their breath in ritual, protect their blood, and conceal their names. They understand how demons enforce pacts through these gateways. Those who truly grasp this begin to see the next revelation. For if blood, breath, and signature seal the agreement, who ensures the debt is paid? What cosmic structure keeps these demonic contracts from collapsing under chaos? The answer lies in a system older than morality itself, the enforcement mechanism of the underworld, where nightmares serve as summons and shadow entities act as collectors. For the law of hell doesn't forget, it audits. Every infernal pact has a clause that mortals often overlook, the enforcement policy. The forbidden occult knowledge hidden beneath demonology reveals that nothing in the cosmos functions without accountability. Just as human law has police and courts, the infernal bureaucracy has its enforcers, shadow entities, sentient echoes, and thought forms created by our own will. They are not evil, they are auditors. Their job is simple: ensure that every demonic contract remains in energetic balance. When you make a promise and break it, when you borrow power and fail to return it, these unseen collectors awaken. They are the accountants of the law of balance in hell. Unlike human debt collectors, these forces don't knock at your door. They appear in your dreams. The spiritual contracts signed in vibration are enforced in the same realm they were written, the astral. Nightmares are not random. They are summons. Each recurring dream of pursuit, paralysis, or drowning represents a metaphysical court hearing. The dream realm functions as the courtroom of the Gnostic underworld, where the esoteric law of demons is applied with precision. Those who understand this treat nightmares as communication, not punishment. The shadow isn't here to torment. It's here to remind. The process is elegantly just. The hidden law of hell never punishes without balance. For every energy borrowed, an equal energy must return. When one channels demonic forces explained for wealth, influence, or forbidden knowledge, the debt is spiritual, not moral. If repayment isn't offered willingly, through gratitude, awareness, or energy redirection, the system corrects itself. This correction often manifests as chaos, exhaustion, or loss. To the untrained, it feels like curse or karma. But to the initiated, it's just the infernal covenant rebalancing itself through the cosmic law of balance. The demon doesn't seek revenge, it seeks equilibrium. These enforcers operate through resonance. They follow frequency, not faces. That's why one person can inherit the consequence of another's vow. Bloodlines carry vibrational fingerprints of old blood pact rituals, and the debt follows accordingly. An ancestor's ambition might echo in a descendant's misfortune, not as punishment, but as interest collected. The forbidden esoteric law calls this the echo clause. When the original signer vanishes, the vibration finds the next compatible host. This is how spiritual debt and karma operate within the infernal hierarchy, not through morality, but through mathematics of resonance. In modern terms, it's like defaulting on an energetic loan. You took current, you used it, and now the current reclaims its flow. Demons don't chase, they recalibrate. If a mortal resists repayment, the demonic energy exchange becomes turbulent, manifesting as insomnia, mental noise, or repetitive life patterns. These are not punishments, but reminders that an imbalance exists in your cosmic contract. Rituals of appeasement, offerings, or acts of service are simply ways to restore flow. Even therapy or shadow work can act as repayment in the forbidden arcane knowledge framework, modern substitutes for ancient exorcisms. What most people fear as possession is actually enforcement. When a person breaks too many energetic clauses, their field becomes porous, allowing entities of similar vibration to inhabit or influence it. It's not demonic invasion, it's how demons enforce pacts. Possession is the repossession of energy. The underworld symbolism of chains, flames, or torment are metaphors for vibrational reconfiguration. You are being reminded that power never comes free. It circulates. The collector doesn't condemn. It balances the ledger of reality. But there's something deeper still, something even the oldest grimoires only whisper about. Who oversees the collectors themselves? Who judges the justice of the underworld? Beyond the enforcers lies a council of ancient arbiters, the archons of contract, entities that exist above morality and below divinity, ensuring that every oath across creation remains honored. They are the cosmic judges of forbidden occult law, and they preside over the next revelation, the infernal magistrates who determine the fate of both gods and men. In the depths of forbidden occult knowledge, one encounters the archons, those enigmatic arbiters who preside over the infernal bureaucracy. They are not demons in the usual sense, nor gods in any holy hierarchy. They are the regulators of resonance, the interpreters of cosmic contracts, and the gatekeepers of equilibrium within the underworld symbolism of existence. The ancients depicted them as throned beings made of light and shadow intertwined, their faces veiled by geometric law. They embody the cosmic law of balance, ensuring that every infernal pact, from the smallest whisper to the grandest oath, remains intact across eternity. Each archon represents a different aspect of jurisdiction within the esoteric law of demons. Some govern time, ensuring karmic debts unfold through sequence. Others oversee matter, binding spirit into form through spiritual contracts. And there are those who govern memory, the cruelest of all, who decide what the soul remembers and what it forgets. They are the infernal hierarchy's judges, neither benevolent nor malicious, but exact. Their justice is cold, mathematical, and absolute. To them, even Lucifer bows, for their law existed long before rebellion. They are the cosmic clerks of forbidden esoteric law. In ancient Mesopotamia, they were worshipped as gods of justice. Anunnaki, Namtar, Shamash, the celestial accountants of divine balance. Temples to these archons and cosmic law were not built for prayer, but for negotiation. Priests would present offerings like lawyers in a celestial court, pleading for mercy or delay in karmic collection. The rituals were not acts of devotion, they were acts of litigation. Humanity understood then what it has forgotten now, that heaven and hell are not opposites, but two branches of the same infernal bureaucracy. Both answer to law, and both report to the same cosmic auditors. The archons, however, are not easily swayed. They read vibration, not words. No flattery, prayer, or sacrifice can bribe them. To petition an archon requires perfect resonance, alignment with truth. This is why most never succeed. The forbidden mysticism surrounding them teaches that the only language they recognize is coherence, when one's energy, emotion, and intention are perfectly aligned. At that frequency, even demons step aside, for the archons act as the supreme court of the Gnostic underworld. Their rulings echo across dimensions, manifesting as fate, synchronicity, or divine delay. Those who encounter these judges often describe a courtroom without walls, an infinite expanse where light folds into sound and silence becomes testimony. In that chamber, one's life plays not as memory, but as frequency. The archons don't speak, they vibrate. Their verdicts arrive as waves that either liberate or confine the soul's current. This is the hidden core of forbidden arcane knowledge, that cosmic justice is vibrational, not moral. When the soul's frequency matches deceit or imbalance, it binds itself further. When it aligns with truth, the bonds dissolve. This is the true judgment day, a harmonic audit. The archon's role extends beyond punishment. They maintain the stability of creation. Without them, every demonic contract would unravel, every pact with Lucifer collapse into chaos. They are the editors of reality, revising existence so that cause and effect never contradict. Even angels rely on them to preserve divine coherence. When one understands this, fear fades. The archons are not jailers, they are custodians of consequence. In their hands lies the ledger of all existence, where spiritual debt and karma are balanced line by line in endless precision. Yet, not even these cosmic judges are infallible. Sometimes, pacts are broken, and the vibration of rebellion ripples through the system. When mortals attempt to escape the clauses they once agreed to, the archon's harmony fractures, and reality bends to correct it. That's when distortion begins, when time folds, sanity cracks, and possession seeps through the veil. This is the next revelation, the breach of pact, the moment when mortals default on their infernal pacts, and the price of such defiance is not vengeance, but collapse. Every system of law, whether divine or infernal, holds one rule above all: a contract broken must be reconciled. In the realm of forbidden occult knowledge, the breach of an infernal pact is not simply rebellion, it's a frequency collapse. When a soul attempts to escape a demonic contract it once agreed to, the universe reacts like an offended equation, trying to restore balance through chaos. This isn't punishment, it's recalibration. The cosmic law of balance demands that energy promised to darkness must either be fulfilled or transmuted. When it isn't, a metaphysical dissonance emerges, tearing at the seams of the soul's vibration. To default on an infernal covenant is to challenge the infernal bureaucracy itself. The system doesn't rage, it reorganizes. The demons who once cooperated become collectors, enforcing the esoteric law of demons with unflinching precision. The individual begins to feel pulled apart, not by claws but by contradictions. Thoughts loop endlessly, time distorts, reality bends. This is what the ancients described as possession, not demonic invasion, but the repossession of energy owed. In those moments, how demons enforce pacts becomes terrifyingly clear, not through violence, but through resonance correction, realigning the defaulter to the clause they ignored. The symptoms are subtle at first. Synchronicities turning sour, dreams filled with pursuit, mirrors showing faces that aren't entirely yours. The soul feels divided, torn between the self that signed and the self that fled. This psychic tension creates what mystics call the resonance breach. When you vibrate on two conflicting frequencies, light and dark, the hidden law of hell interprets it as interference. To fix it, it amplifies the stronger current, often the darker one. Thus, nightmares, compulsions, and self-sabotage become the mechanisms of spiritual debt and karma collection. The demons don't punish, they stabilize imbalance through feedback loops. Those who experience this rarely understand that it's their own energy enforcing the clause. The forbidden esoteric law teaches that no entity has true power over a soul unless the soul once gave it jurisdiction. The blood pact ritual may have been forgotten, but the vibration remembers. Even unconscious agreements, "I'd give anything, I'd die for this," become legal signatures in the astral legal system. When such vows are left unpaid, the body becomes the courtroom. Fatigue, chaos, and despair are simply verdicts delivered through biology. The flesh carries out what the spirit signed, and yet the breach is not always failure, it's awakening. When reality begins to fracture, it forces the defaulter to face the truth of their forbidden occult knowledge, that they were the author of the pact all along. Many mystics have described their spiritual collapse as the moment they finally met their own shadow, the entity they thought was external. The demonic forces explained in grimoires may just be projections of inner clauses demanding closure. To repair the breach, one must renegotiate, not with a demon outside, but with the disowned fragments within. Awareness is the solvent of hell. Still, few dare to face their auditors directly. They run, hide, or deny, not realizing that evasion only compounds the interest. The infernal hierarchy does not forget, it waits. The archons observe in silence, tracking the unpaid resonance through lifetimes, until the vibration itself demands reconciliation. Some call it curse, others fate, but it is simply the forbidden arcane knowledge of equilibrium in motion. The soul is never truly damned, it's just reminded of its overdue clauses, echoing through dreams and déjà vu until recognition dissolves resistance. And here lies the paradox that leads us to the next revelation. Even in the depths of underworld symbolism, every pact, no matter how dark, contains an escape clause. Buried beneath fear and guilt lies a forgotten doorway, a secret exit coded into every demonic contract. This is the unwritten clause, the hidden key of redemption. It cannot be bought or begged for. It must be remembered. The next teaching unveils that sacred loophole, the art of escaping the infernal ledger through awareness, sovereignty, and the remembrance that the author of every pact was always the soul itself. Every demonic contract, no matter how darkly sealed, contains what the ancients called the clause of light. It's the paradox hidden in the forbidden occult knowledge that even in the depths of the infernal bureaucracy, law demands balance. The cosmic law of balance dictates that every agreement, no matter how binding, must contain its opposite, a path of annulment hidden within its code. The demons know this, but they rarely reveal it. It's not mercy, it's mathematics. For if existence is built on polarity, then every infernal pact must include redemption as its shadow. The trick is remembering where that clause was buried. The secret lies in awareness. A spiritual contract can only bind the unconscious. Once the signer awakens, the vibration shifts and the agreement dissolves. The esoteric law of demons functions like encryption. Awareness is the decryption key. This is why enlightenment has always terrified the infernal hierarchy. It nullifies jurisdiction. When one remembers the terms they once accepted, the hidden law of hell begins to crack. The energy once owed no longer resonates with the same frequency. Awareness doesn't destroy the pact, it fulfills it. For in the forbidden esoteric law, knowledge itself is the ultimate payment. The process of redemption is not a ritual, it's a remembrance. In the Gnostic underworld, the soul recalls it was never the victim, it was the author. The supposed demonic forces explained by grimoires are projections of unintegrated will. They only hold power until recognized as mirrors. When you confront your inner demon, you meet your forgotten contract. And when you read it clearly with compassion rather than fear, you sign its closure. This act of self-recognition is the true breaking of the pact. It's not exorcism, it's authorship. That's the real forbidden arcane knowledge the temples kept from the uninitiated. This doesn't mean escaping is effortless. The infernal covenant will test your sincerity. The moment you choose sovereignty, your reality rearranges to confirm or deny your readiness. Old habits return, temptations whisper, and synchronicities tempt you to re-sign the old clauses. This is how demons enforce pacts, not through possession but persuasion. The forbidden mysticism of initiation teaches that redemption isn't an escape from darkness, but a traversal through it. You must walk the labyrinth of your own vibration, face the clauses you wrote in ignorance, and rewrite them consciously through will. There are methods to aid this liberation. Breathwork, fasting, prayer, and invocation all serve to realign the energetic ledger. They're ancient technologies for nullifying karmic signatures. Even silence, when practiced with intention, cancels dozens of metaphysical pacts written through careless words. In that quiet space, the soul renegotiates directly with the cosmic law of balance. Offer forgiveness where you once offered fear. Replace guilt with gratitude. This act changes the resonance, and the infernal bureaucracy, ever faithful to its equations, releases your file. The ledger closes itself, because the numbers now equal 0. But redemption doesn't erase the past, it integrates it. The forbidden occult knowledge reveals that the light cannot exist without its infernal counterpart. The soul that escapes the ledger doesn't become pure, it becomes whole. It understands that heaven and hell are not destinations, but departments in the same universal court. To graduate from one is to transcend both. The hidden truth about demons is that they were never your enemies. They were your teachers of accountability. The pact was never a punishment, it was a curriculum. You didn't sell your soul, you signed up for evolution. And when this realization dawns, something miraculous happens. The very same vibration that once bound you becomes the current that liberates you. The forbidden esoteric law collapses into paradox. Law and freedom become one. And as the soul rises beyond the Gnostic underworld, it sees the final horizon, that even redemption is just another contract waiting to be transcended. Beyond that lies the last revelation, the ultimate trial, where good and evil dissolve into pure law itself. The final verdict, where the soul faces not judgment but understanding. In the end, when every infernal pact has been fulfilled, every demonic contract resolved, and every vibration balanced, the soul stands before a silence deeper than creation itself. This is not judgment, it is recognition. Here, the forbidden occult knowledge reveals its final paradox. There was never good or evil, only agreements misunderstood. The infernal bureaucracy dissolves, the heavens grow quiet, and what remains is pure law, the pulse of cosmic balance that has always existed beyond morality. In that timeless court, angels and demons sit on the same side of the table, reviewing ledgers written in starlight and shadow alike. The forbidden esoteric law teaches that duality was a classroom, not a battlefield. The soul learns accountability through contrast. Darkness teaches value, light teaches consequence. The so-called law of balance in hell is simply the same truth refracted through shadow. What religion called punishment was merely correction. What we call grace is simply restoration. Every spiritual contract was designed for learning, not suffering. And when that understanding dawns, the soul no longer fears judgment. It recognizes itself as both plaintiff and judge in the Gnostic underworld's eternal courtroom. Here, demons and contracts become metaphors rather than chains. The underworld symbolism of flames and torment reveals its true face, purification by awareness. Every shadow ever feared becomes light refracted through density. Even Lucifer, the archetype of rebellion, stands not as villain but as validator of free will. In this place, there are no sinners, only signers. Every oath, every failure, every forbidden mysticism of rebellion was part of the same curriculum of remembrance. The soul realizes that hell was never underground. It was misunderstanding, vibrating within consciousness. The hidden laws of the universe function with perfect impartiality. No prayer, ritual, or curse can bypass them, because they are the architecture of being itself. They are the invisible algorithms that govern both pact magic and miracle, infernal pacts, and divine covenants. Once the seeker sees this, fear dissolves into awe. The forbidden arcane knowledge of balance reveals that even chaos obeys geometry. There are no accidents, only alignments misread. And every act of evil, when traced to its origin, is a miscalculated search for belonging, an attempt to restore connection through distorted will. To reach this understanding is to outgrow the court entirely. The infernal hierarchy no longer binds, the cosmic contracts no longer tempt. The soul steps outside the system, not in defiance but in completion. It no longer negotiates with light or shadow because it has become both. This is the secret behind the Gnostic secrets of liberation. Salvation is not granted, it is remembered. The final verdict is self-realization, the moment when law and love become indistinguishable and every forbidden occult law dissolves into truth. Yet even here, echoes of the infernal bureaucracy remain. The soul understands that while it transcends, others still wander in negotiation, still writing, still breaching, still learning. And so, like the archons before, it may choose to descend again, not as debtor or judge, but as teacher. This is how the cycle renews, awakened souls returning to help others read their contracts, illuminating the clauses of redemption hidden in their own shadows. Thus, hell becomes a library, and demons its librarians, guiding seekers through the fine print of existence. And as the veil lifts, the soul smiles at the ultimate irony. The law beyond good and evil was never punishment, never salvation. It was participation. Every thought, every breath, every agreement was the universe learning itself through experience. The court dissolves, but the rhythm remains. Creation continues its endless signing and resigning, a living testament that law and freedom were never enemies. They were twin flames of the same truth. And somewhere, perhaps in another realm, another seeker begins to whisper their first oath, the cycle starting anew. Maybe now you understand that hell was never a place, it was a contract. Every promise you've broken, every deal you've made with yourself, every time you said never again and did it anyway, those were infernal pacts, silent agreements written into the vibration of your being. And the demons you feared, they were just the collectors of consequences, reflections of your own forgotten choices. The forbidden occult knowledge reveals that there is no judge waiting for you, only balance, patiently correcting its scales through time. But knowing this changes everything. It means you are not powerless. You can renegotiate any spiritual contract, amend every demonic clause, and free yourself from the infernal bureaucracy by one single act: awareness. The moment you realize that your life is the courtroom, and your thoughts are the verdicts, you stop being a defendant and become a creator. That's the real forbidden esoteric law. Law was never against you. It was always teaching you responsibility disguised as fate. So now I ask you, what contracts are you still honoring unconsciously? What debts have you been paying with your energy, your time, your peace? And what would happen if you dared to read the fine print of your own reality? Tell me in the comments what part of this truth hit you the hardest. What did you remember about yourself tonight? If this knowledge stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join this circle of seekers. Here, we don't fear the darkness, we study it. Because the underworld isn't your enemy, it's your syllabus. And every week we unveil another page of the forbidden occult knowledge they told you to stay away from. So stay curious, stay aware. And remember, the only true pact you can never break is the one you sign with your own awakening.